Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own.
Coldplay is the most successful British band of the decade. They've sold more than 40 million albums worldwide. And though they've been knocked, which is par for the course, they've balanced this commercial success with critical acclaim. 7 Grammys and 6 Brit Awards. What's this about?
Well, this is the thing we wrote when we were 19 years old or 18. We put this on a wall with some missions and some goals, and then we did them all. So then we wrote some new ones. So the first mission was to rehearse with Champ. That's Will, of course. First gig, that was an important part of the list.
Oh, reinvent the wheel in an emotional way.
Yes.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a modest. We've got world peace up there somewhere.
Let's go!
As I'm talking to you, you're just coming to the end of a 163 concert tour. It must be fun, isn't it, standing up there playing your music?
It seems like we're on stage for about 5 minutes before we're coming off again.
Those 90 minutes or 100 minutes is so hyper real. Everything is so full on. It is the best possible thing you could want to do with your life. It just doesn't get any better.
When you're singing in, I don't know, Wembley Arena, you can only really see the outline of the exits. So in some songs...
Oh, that's a nice message, isn't it?
No, but in some songs, all you can see is a clear doorway, and you can hear the crowd singing, so you think, wonderful, this song is great. And then it's when the light all starts getting blocked and everyone's going to the bathroom.
Toilet break song.
Then you're like, okay, that song's out.
We should never have put that song on the album.
And I know some other singers judge it that way as well. You judge it by the bathroom breaks.
Not so much the litmus test as the lavatory test, is it?
Very much so. Yeah.
I'm at Coldplay in Camden Town, where they set off, actually. But in a bakery, a former bakery, which they used as their studio and centre. Typical of the way I don't think they calculated it, but they had it was small, it was modest, it was unshowy. And as time went on, they got bigger and bigger and bigger, but they stayed there, comfortably there. And they always knew what they were doing. They seemed to know what they were doing from the word go. They were a remarkable group. They'd met at university, all of them musicians, determined to form a group, and they had a record contract before they took their finals. And with a good company which said they hoped to sell 2,000 or 3,000 copies, but the thing was the long-term future was assured. They were such a good band. Well, that sold 1 million copies. They went on to sell 40 million copies of albums, and on it went. We met them at the end of a world tour. What was it, a 163-day tour in 113 cities. But they were still up for talking about what they did. They're remarkable in many ways, first of all, for their music.
But it's wonderful to see the kind of life force and vitality that comes off there in Coldplay's music. Yeah, they are one of our biggest influences. I mean that sincerely, because they raised the standard, you know. They upped the ante.
Well done, everybody!
And as a lyricist, I think he's up to something very interesting and quite subtle.
So we did this bushfire benefit concert, 6 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. And we went on first, so we didn't have any lights or, any of our normal smoke and mirrors.
Did you just suddenly decide to jump off the ramp? Or had you thought you might do it?
Well, part of the problem with every frontman is that you have this chip in you that most people don't have, which is this desire to make everyone happy, which often fails. Or there's this desire to do something that you think is interesting when you feel like things might be going a bit stale. So either out of desperation or excitement, I thought, well, I'll just go for a run. It was a tremendous error.
Yes.
And,
I'm surprised to see you sitting there now.
Yeah.
These guys just played on.
Yeah.
They didn't pause.
No.
Show must go on.
For either thought or concern. I thought, well, they're doing okay.
It's very rare that you'll get the sound of 2 drumsticks being thrown down, and you know you're going to turn around and see that face shaking his head. We're in Los Angeles, California. We're going to the Grammys.
Feeling quite nervous, actually. It's the biggest thing in American music, you know. So to be nominated for 1 is great, but 7's ridiculous.
It makes it even worse if you don't win it. Sets you up for a big crap on all accounts. Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
We're having a meeting and saying we want to be louder than Grohl.
Good luck. Gotta try a little harder than that.
Do good.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Keep making great music.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you win a lot of prizes tonight, okay?
It's very kind, Neil.
Good.
Thanks for coming and saying hi.
Thank you, guys.
Great to meet you.
Good luck.
You can judge how well you're doing by how many people want to say hello to you backstage.
And the Grammy, the Song of the Year, goes to Coldplay for Viva La Vida!
Coldplay won 3 Grammys, including the prestigious Song of the Year award. Is it harder now that you're very successful with great critical acclaim, great number of awards, great number of sales, and this huge tour that you're just finishing as we speak? Is it harder to keep motivating yourself?
No. It actually gets easier because, I don't know, it's what we love to do. It genuinely is. It's not hard to motivate.
From the beginning, there came about 2 big decisions for you as a group. One was that you would split all proceeds 4 ways, equally. And secondly, that all 4 of you had to agree that the song was worth doing before it got through. Seems to me you could take forever, couldn't you?
Yeah, and invariably do, much to everyone's annoyance.
Probably Chris and I can get very overexcited about going in certain directions, and I think Will, in particular, who very much has his feet on the ground, sort of can rein us back a bit.
I know that often I have to bite my tongue because I know I've been wrong on a number of occasions about certain songs, and you know, which when I've heard it in a demo version, I've gone, oh, I'm not so sure about that, and then it turns out to be Clocks or something like that.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against.
They make such an effort to connect with that audience, and I think that also in the live arena, which is obviously more my area, that is what really stands out. It's why every single show they've done here at Glastonbury is entirely different. They've upped the stakes of live music productions, and they really, really care about making that a good experience, a brilliant experience for people.
Can't be named. A tiger's waiting to be tamed, singing.
Today we've got the Brits, which is a bit like the office Christmas party for musicians, you know? You get to see everybody and tell each other how great each other's records are and how it's just so tragic that they've been misunderstood.
Tonight's ceremony, Coldplay are nominated for 4 Brit Awards.
And the winner is Iron Maiden. And the winner is Elbow Duffy. Go the luck!
We were humiliated on a national scale. It was tremendous. So we left kind of tail between our legs, convinced that we were even worse than everyone had predicted. But then we went and did this concert for War Childs and thought, well, to get rid of the misery of, you know...
Of not winning anything.
That's
right.
We'll ask some people we love to come and sing songs with us, and we'll kind of remember why we all do music in the first place, which is, of course, to play music. Gary Barlow came down and we sang Back for Good, which is a lifelong ambition of mine.
anymore. That's like...
We still got to write something as good as that. It's killer. Killer. That's one of the moments of history in my life.
The band first met as students at University College London in 1996. Were you writing stuff that you've picked up on since, used since?
One of the first ever bits we ever wrote made it onto our last record. It just was a verse that never had a chorus until 10 years later, a song called Violet Hill.
Oh, yeah.
But only the verse of that song is ancient, but it was just waiting for its chorus. Like a sort of old spinster, and eventually it arrived.
As a young bride.
As a
Future's architecture by a carnival of idiots on show. Better lie low. If you love me, won't you let me know?
When we all met and we started playing music, it wasn't just a case of, okay, let's have a go and let's have a bit of fun, because I really believed passionately that we had something special. You know, I really felt that we had a good chemistry from the outset and that there was no reason why it shouldn't work.
And this place is called Monkey Shoes, where I came 10 years ago to ask forgiveness because I sacked Will, or we sort of split up for a bit. We got signed and we went to the studio and we were doing okay, but this producer we were working with told us we weren't good enough, we weren't technically good enough, and what bands often do in that situation is blame the drummer for going out of time or whatever. And we didn't really know that music was supposed to be about the feel of it. You know, we thought, God, everything's got to be technically perfect because we have a record deal now. And so it ended up with us asking Will to leave, which is so... Anyway, so about 3 days went by and we were doing our thing and playing with a drum machine and stuff, and just felt really miserable. I called Will and I said, please, will you meet me and Guy in this place, Monkey Cheese? He said, okay, one more chance, but this has got to change and that's got to change. So then they made me have lots of vodka and cranberry in remembrance of what a nasty piece of work I was being. So whenever I drive past you, it makes me feel sick. And even now, if I ever make a big mistake, I have to force myself to drink that stuff to just kind of remember not to be such an idiot ever again.
The four of them split 4 ways, the takings, the profits, even though Chris sang and wrote most of the songs. And there was a time when he said, should he go on his own, because he was doing, as it were, perhaps more work than the others. And thought, no, because they were together, they worked together, and he wanted it to stay like that. That was a decision he arrived at with a bit of a struggle, but once he got there, he stuck to it. It was a very bold and good, proper decision, I thought, with friends. They worked everything through very carefully, and they remained friends, and they were a tremendous group to be with. It was significant for me because I just, that morning, very, very small thing in the scheme of things, decided to turn down a ridiculously inappropriate offer from ITV, which I've been working for 30-odd years on the South Bank Show, because they wanted to reduce the programmes from about 20 programmes a year to 4 programmes a year. And I thought, bugger that. So I went and talked to Coldplay instead. It was a good film. Let's go to Parachutes, your first album. The record company hoped that it might sell a few thousand. It ended up selling 2 million copies in a year. Now, that must have taken you by the throat.
It did, yeah. But I suppose, you know, the biggest reason that it did so well was a song called Yellow.
I can remember exactly what happened, man, because you were watching Tottenham play. I was just messing around. We'd just been standing outside. And then this chord change came, which I really loved. And then you go, oh, that's nice. And then the song starts to come out. through to their game, said, listen to this is incredible. And they were like, oh, good. You know, so that's, you know. That's all I had. But we always believed that it would be the kind of access point to our band.
Look at the stars, look how they shine for you, and all the things you do. Yeah, they were all yellow.
Why do you think it was such a success without being self-deprecating?
I'm through with it. I can tell you're getting irritated.
And secondly, no, I'm not getting irritated at all.
It is irritating. Everyone, my parents, even my wife gets irritated by it. I can't help it.
So why do you think Yellow was so successful?
Well, it's fucking brilliant.
There you are. That's what you should say. Fine. Hi.
The first time that they headlined here was one of the real seminal moments for us and Coldplay together, Glastonbury. And there are very few bands that have only had one album who can kind of headline the Pyramid stage. They're just amazing songwriters, amazing songs. Johnny's guitar, the band together, the kind of closeness of them, you can feel it. It just radiates, and I think the fans pick up on that, and people love them because of that. You know, they can see that they are the true, real deal. They're doing it for the absolute love of it.
I swam across, I jumped across for you. All the things you do, 'cause you were all yellow.
They haven't become old play, which is always the joke, that they haven't become that kind of old band yet, you know, and I think that's to do with them, with who they work with and the energy that they put into their music and making it kind of still really just, I don't know, it's still like all like they've got a new generation of fans coming through all the time.
One thing you seem to do is address your previous work and say, well, we can do better than that. But not only we can do better, but we want to move on from that, be different from that.
Well, we hired a teacher. We hired Brian Eno. We invited him in, and he doesn't care if you've sold one record or 100 million. He just, if he doesn't like something, he's very happy to tell you.
Why don't we all play as if we're from totally different bands and we've never heard of funk music, but we just happen to have been faced with this rhythm track. I think it's a real credit to them that they're quite consciously saying, let's all go back to school in terms of making music. I mean, they don't have to. I'm sure they could carry on making and selling a lot of records, but they want to go further with the music they're doing.
If you were to walk into our studio in these weeks where we're working with Brian, you would be forgiven for kind of just walking straight back out again with your hands over your ears and thinking these people can't possibly be professional musicians.
There's one notable absentee from the studio, the singer.
I didn't ban Chris from the bakery. No, that wasn't the idea. Chris tends to come in with quite fully formed songs. So we both arrived at the idea together, actually, to try me working just with the band to see what we could find.
I think secretly he's staging a coup and he's trying to edge me out under the guise of trying to improve our band. This is a song called Wedding Bells, which I'm trying to get the verse for.
Those wedding bells are ringing up upon that hill. I don't want to swallow such a bitter pill. You keep moving, baby, I'll stay still. I always loved you and I always will. La, 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 la.
But I'm still looking for that verse. A week later, it's a bad sign.
I don't think any of us get hugely sort of nostalgic about what we've done because we've never really sort of taken our foot off the pedal. I think there might come a time when we can sort of relax a bit and look back and enjoy what we've done.
We try and improve, but equally, every so often, we do have to remind ourselves and say, we're actually doing really well, and that, every so often there's a release where we go, we have a very small kind of pat on the back, kind of, this is brilliant.
We have very different personalities, but we do have the same kind of ambition and goals when it comes to the band. We're as one.
If I didn't have the band, I wouldn't have anything. Everything in my life comes from it. That's what's terrifying. But also, I just feel very grateful for that. The man who is tired of London is tired of London. No, wait a minute. That's not right. The man who is tired of London is tired. No, the man... I'm not as good as Melvin on these quotes.